What happens when one of the world's most recognizable idols steps onto the global fashion stage? Unexpected, unscripted, and in a way no one predicted. What happens when that moment sends a ripple through not just the room, but across the internet, reverberating from fashion capitals to bedroom screens, from devoted fans to stunned skeptics? On a night thick with anticipation and cloaked in the gloss of luxury, Jungkook of BTS didn't just walk the Calvin Klein runway. He shattered expectations, challenged fashion norms, and left the audience in visceral, stunned silence. And then they screamed that IT wasn't just about a walk. It wasn't just a celebrity cameo. This was a moment that felt like history being stitched into the very fabric of pop culture. Viewers who were lucky enough to be in the room described it as something you feel in your bones. And those watching from afar? Their reactions were instant and loud. Twitter trends exploded, TikTok fan edits were flooding in seconds later, and live streams glitched under the sheer digital pressure of millions logging on just to catch a glimpse. Imagine it. The lights dimmed. There were whispers of who might walk. Some murmured rumors about a surprise. Others dismissed it as just another Calvin Klein gimmick. But when the heavy, industrial beat dropped and a lean figure stepped from the shadows onto the glossy black runway, jaws didn't just drop, they shattered. Introduction.
No spotlight preamble.
Just Jungkook, wearing a minimalistic yet powerful ensemble that paid homage to Calvin Klein's raw, urban DNA. Denim hanging just low enough to be controversial, just styled enough to be iconic. His stride was not of a pop star crossing over. It was a model's gait, precision, intent, confidence that didn't seek approval. He owned the space like he had always belonged there, and the audience? Frozen at first. Mouths open, phones forgotten. Then came the wave, a crescendo of shrieks, gasps, and pure disbelief. Even veteran fashion editors known for their cold critique whispered, "That's him," with a reverence usually reserved for royalty. Because in that moment, that's what he was. Fashion royalty crowned in real time. Social media, seconds behind, caught up fast. The hashtag Jungkook Calvin Klein instantly trended worldwide. Fan cams went viral. Memes, reactions, fan cams, and frame-by-frame breakdowns followed. What cologne was he wearing? Who styled him? Did he practice that walk? Was that really him, or did the lighting make it feel like a dream? But it wasn't a dream. Jungkook's appearance was a calculated surprise. Calvin Klein had kept it under lock and key, even internally. Insiders later revealed that only a handful of top-level creatives knew he'd walk. This secrecy wasn't just about drama, it was about crafting a cultural explosion. And it worked. The buzz it generated eclipsed even the brand's biggest campaigns of the last decade. Emotionally, fans weren't prepared. There are reactions recorded and raw, of people breaking down in tears. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming thrill of seeing someone they've followed for years rise even higher, break another boundary. For many, it was more than just fashion, it was vindication. Jungkook wasn't just a K-pop idol. He was now indisputably a global icon, commanding respect in elite, traditionally Western spaces. Fashion critics were quick to note how seamlessly Jungkook merged brand with personality. It wasn't just the clothes, it was the way he wore them, the subtle intensity in his eyes, the stillness of his presence that somehow roared louder than any flamboyant design ever could. Calvin Klein is known for its quiet rebellion, its sensual minimalism. That night, Jungkook was Calvin Klein, and still, the mystery deepens. Why now? Why this show? Why no prior hints, no teasers? Was this a one-off or the beginning of a larger collaboration? Speculations are rampant. Some suggest a full campaign is underway. Others hint at creative director collaboration. And then there are the more fevered fan theories, like a surprise capsule collection or a new brand ambassador announcement at the next major fashion week. Yet, perhaps the most unforgettable part wasn't just Jungkook's walk. It was the silence just before he appeared. That calm before the emotional storm. That brief second of unknowing when the audience was suspended in pure anticipation. That's what made the moment immortal. People didn't just watch. They felt it. Every step, every glance, every breath. It lingered like perfume in the air long after he exited the runway. Some attendees sat stunned for minutes. Others wept. Many just clutched their chests, trying to understand the emotional surge they'd just experienced. This wasn't normal. This wasn't expected. This was different. How does one appearance on a runway spark such universal reaction? Is it charisma? Timing? Or is it the deeper truth that Jungkook represents a shift in power, in beauty, in who gets to lead the conversation about fashion, gender, fame, and influence? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. That night, in a room filled with the world's fashion elite, it was Jungkook who made them all look up. Not just because of who he is, but because of what he represents. A world where barriers blur, where culture transcends borders, and where the most powerful moments are the ones no one sees coming. And maybe that's the real secret behind the screams, the tears, the tweets. It wasn't just a runway moment. It was our moment.
Shared. Shocked.
And unforgettable, because even as the lights dimmed again and the show continued, something had shifted in the air, undeniably and permanently. It wasn't just fashion insiders who noticed. Journalists from outlets as far-reaching as the New York Times and Vogue Korea scrambled to rework their coverage. What was meant to be a standard Fashion Week report transformed into a breaking story that blurred the lines between entertainment, style, and cultural movement. Jungkook wasn't just a cameo. He was a declaration. Every video replayed online only magnified the impact. Slow-motion edits emphasized the delicate smirk as he turned at the end of the runway. The calculated flick of his wrist, the slight tilt of his chin. None of it screamed for attention, and yet every moment demanded it. In a sea of manufactured drama and overproduced stunts, his understated confidence cut through like a lightning strike in a quiet sky, and the emotional resonance didn't stop at all for longtime fans of Jungkook. The ones who watched him grow from a shy teenage trainee to the front cover of Time magazine, who clung to fan cams and live streams, who stayed up late just to stream his solo songs. It felt like personal triumph. I cried, one fan tweeted, because we've waited so long for the world to see what we already knew, that he belongs here. He was the show. Another wrote, he didn't just walk the runway. He walked into history. It's easy to be cynical in the age of internet hype. Brands often rely on virality to sell the next big drop. Influencers choreograph spontaneous reactions, and algorithms decide what's worth feeling. But this moment, this one, felt refreshingly authentic.
Raw.
Electric. If you were there, you know. If you watched, you remember. And if you missed it, well, the FOMO was real. Interestingly, it wasn't just the fans whose hearts skipped a beat. Backstage, fellow models and crew members shared their own stunned reactions. One makeup artist described the atmosphere as electric chaos, saying, even the models didn't know. People were whispering backstage, and then suddenly there was this sharp hush. That doesn't happen. That never happens. And in the fashion world, silence is the loudest applause. Yet even now, questions buzz louder than answers. Was this just the beginning of a deeper dive into high fashion? Insiders suggest Calvin Klein has more in store, a possible global ad campaign, maybe even a short film featuring Jungkook at the creative helm. And then there's the whispered rumor that his involvement with the brand may extend beyond modeling. Could we be looking at the next celebrity-turned-creative director? It's not hard to imagine. Jungkook has long expressed interest in design, aesthetics, and creative direction. From conceptualizing BTS performances to personally directing parts of his own music videos, his visual sensibility is widely admired. So, why not take it further? Why not leap into the design space and leave another indelible mark? Calvin Klein has a history of working with rebels, with rule breakers. From Mark Wahlberg to Kate Moss to Justin Bieber, their most iconic moments came from people who didn't just fit into fashion, they pushed against it. Jungkook, in this moment, redefined it. Clean-cut yet sultry, masculine yet fluid, global yet deeply personal, and the emotional fallout? Still unfolding. Every major fan account posted reaction videos. Live streamers screamed into their microphones. Even those who had never paid attention to K-pop or fashion found themselves drawn to the viral allure of that walk. Somehow, it became more than just a pop culture headline. It became an awakening. People weren't just surprised, they were changed. One viral TikTok stitched together clips of young fans watching the walk in real time, their eyes wide with disbelief, laughter morphing into stunned silence, hands flying to mouths in unfiltered awe. Comments flooded in from users across age groups and continents. I didn't even know who he was. Now I can't stop rewatching. Another user posted simply, I felt seen.
Seen.
That's the word, in a world where many still feel unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. Jungkook stepping into that runway space represented more than celebrity. He symbolized a shift, a collapsing of walls between East and West, music and fashion, masculinity and sensuality. He didn't just represent BTS fans or Korean artists. He represented possibility, the kind that makes your heart race, the kind that leaves you whispering, did that really just happen? So where do we go from here? Fashion will try to move on. Brands will release their collections. Critics will pen their reviews. But something about that moment will linger in the air. Not because of press releases. Not because of marketing strategies. But because of the truth everyone felt watching him walk. This was not manufactured. This was real. This was art. This was power. It's no longer a question of whether Jungkook belongs on that stage. He is the stage. He doesn't just follow trends, he defines them. And as long as people are watching, hoping, wondering, he'll keep them guessing, keep them gasping, keep them asking, what'll he do next? Whatever it is, you can bet one thing, because that's the kind of presence Jungkook carries. Not the loud, obvious spectacle that fades as fast as it trends, but the slow-burning force that settles under your skin and doesn't let go. Every replay of that Calvin Klein runway walk feels different. Each viewing reveals something new, a flicker of eye contact, a perfectly timed pause, the silent tension between steps. That's not just modeling. That's performance. That's storytelling without words. And the days that followed, the industry scrambled to catch up. Calvin Klein's official channels posted the walk, accompanied by minimalistic captions that didn't need to say much. They didn't have to. The world had already spoken. The clip became their most viewed, most shared, and most commented post in months. Other brands took notice. Competitors in the fashion space saw the needle move in real time. This wasn't just a spike in attention, it was a seismic shift in influence. And perhaps that's where the true impact lies. For years, the Western fashion world kept its gates closely guarded. There were rules, unspoken expectations, a certain aesthetic that had to be adhered to.
K-pop stars were admired, yes.
Used in campaigns, yes. But to lead a moment, to own a runway, not just appear on it, that was rare, nearly impossible. Until now, because Jungkook didn't adapt to the runway. The runway adapted to him. It's hard not to be moved by that. To see someone who was once viewed as an outsider walk into one of the most elite rooms in the world and become the center of it. No need to shout. No need for theatrics. Just presence.
Poise.
A quiet command that said, I am not here to ask for a seat. I brought my own. Interviews haven't fully caught up. Jungkook himself has remained mostly silent about the moment. No long captions. No personal statement. Just a repost of the Calvin Klein video with a black heart emoji. Simple, confident, mysterious. And fans? They filled in the blanks, weaving narratives, projecting emotions, celebrating milestones that felt just as personal as they were global. It's more than parasocial connection. It's history seen through fandom. It's the sense of being there even when you're watching from across the world. That's what made this moment not just iconic, but intimate. Because it wasn't just about him. It was about everyone who believed in him before the world caught up, and then came the aftershocks. Google Trends reported a massive spike in search terms like Jungkook Calvin Klein runway, Jungkook model walk, and K-pop fashion crossover. TikTok creators began dissecting every second, not just for aesthetic, but for meaning. What did the hand placement suggest? Was there symbolism in the outfit? Did the slow turn at the end hint at anything deeper? Suddenly, this wasn't just a fashion moment. It became a cultural touchstone. You could see it in the headlines. Rolling Stone called it a defining moment in the globalization of fashion. Elle described it as a runway walk that might change the trajectory of what brand representation looks like. Even the notoriously hard-to-please business of fashion acknowledged that Jungkook had redefined brand synergy and shifted the calculus of runway appearances. And still, in spite of all the noise, the reactions, the viral takes, it's that silence that stays with you. That singular second when he appeared, and time seemed to stop. It's hard to describe it. It wasn't just attraction. It wasn't just admiration. It was reverence. As though the audience wasn't watching a man, they were watching a moment. A once-in-a-generation kind of moment. One that could never be replicated, only remembered. Will he do it again? No one knows. That's part of the thrill. That's why fans refresh feeds, turn on notifications, scroll through endless loops of footage, not to find something new, but to feel that feeling again. The feeling of seeing someone step out of the expected into something legendary, because Jungkook didn't just walk that runway.